Thank you for tuning in for another edition of Hoops Hitting Gems podcast. I'm your host, David Jones, episode number 48. Thank you guys for tuning in as usual, man. It's audience from all over the country. The podcast is building. We want to thank you guys for your support. Tonight's another great show as usual. Starting it off, man, this is we met a little while ago and I kept saying, I'm going to get you on the show. I'm going to get you on the show. And I saw him play this past season in Houston. We got Coach Sean Dumas out of New Orleans with Sean Dumas Academy. He has a prep side and a post grad, and we're going to talk a little bit about his program today. How you doing today, Coach?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Dave, for having me, man. I appreciate you having me. I'm super excited to just chop it up with you, man, and just kick it.
Absolutely, man. So, we're going to talk a little bit about your program. So, like I said, I saw the prep side in Houston last November, and I said, man, I like those guys. And, I reached out to you and asked about the post grad. You said you were going to do it next year. And that's where, I brought up the idea like, hey, man, come on the show, talk about your program, and, we'll just chop it up and, get people familiar because, trust me, a lot of post grads watch this show. So they're going to want to play you. So, and that's a good thing, man.
That's a great thing.
Exposure to New Orleans, man, because if I'm not mistaken, you're the only post grad in New Orleans, right?
I am the only post grad in New Orleans. Okay. I am also Louisiana's first high school national prep school.
Yes.
It's been such an amazing feat just being able to establish this, put these kids on this platform, and be able to play basketball at a high level and help rep the name of Louisiana. We have some really.
Absolutely, man. One thing from Atlanta, we can speak it from Atlanta. Louisiana got some good athletes, man. I've had Coach Randy Livingston on the show before, man. And so, and I know Mal does a great job down there as well with his platform. And, it's one of them things where the people that don't know, I'm like, man, Louisiana has some good girls and boys basketball.
Girls and boys, yeah.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So, just talking about your program, man, with you diving out into the post grad, this being your first year, what you're trying to do with your post grad this year?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is, just like everybody, man, we're trying to put these kids on a platform where they'll have an opportunity. That's most important, while teaching them life skills and teaching them how to be good people in life. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing. On the post grad side, we've been fortunate enough. We have 3 kids that's actually going to leave the high school round and go to the post grad segment this year. That's going to be really good. And so we just taking our time and getting the right pieces so that we can put together a really good product that the coaches would love to see SDA. They'll love to see SDA compete at a high level. And so, we just chucking away, man. We sitting down. We right now, coaches, if you're watching, we're looking for games. If you got any open dates, please hit me. We want to play a highly competitive schedule. We want to put these kids on the biggest platform in the world to compete, and most importantly, we want these kids to end up in somebody's college, so that they can showcase their talent and get education.
Absolutely. And man, and I'm glad you said that because, a lot of people that aren't familiar with what you're doing, you've already been doing this on the prep side for how many years already?
So this is our first year, actually. This is our first year. This is year 1 for us.
On the prep side?
On the prep side, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So when I saw you in November, that was your first year?
That's year 1. Absolutely.
Man, I liked what I saw, man. You guys had a good team too, man.
Man, listen, Dave, these kids, they were relentless. They are relentless. They're still working extremely hard. They have so much, man, to bring to whoever's university. And these kids, they just believe in the system. They believe in what we're about, and they trust the process.
Absolutely. So the type of schedule you're trying to play, are you trying to play regional, a national schedule? What's your plans with the post grad, man?
Well, my plans with the post grad and my high school national is to play national. Right now we are a member of the SWAC with Marcus Sloan. Sloan does an amazing job, man, of together a schedule, man. And that's our conference that we in without, if it was in the high school realm, it'll be district,
Yes.
So that's what we do. We play in that conference, which is very competitive, have some of the best basketball players in this region. But the conference is expanding this year. Also, we're doing an unbelievable job of just wanting to play, any and everybody, man. We don't want to limit ourselves to local. We don't want to limit ourselves to regional. We want to open up nationally and play against everybody. This year we got a chance to play against Sunrise on the high school round. We got a chance to play against Southern Cal. We want to play any and everybody that's going to help put these kids on the platform. So we don't want to limit ourselves. We want to go, we want to go and play everywhere. So, we not limiting ourselves for anything.
Sounds good, man. Definitely sounds good. And man, you got the talent to do it. So let me ask this. Are you just grabbing guys from like the Louisiana, Mississippi area, or are you grabbing them from all over? What's your plans?
Well, we're recruiting kids. Right now, most of our kids all of our kids are Louisiana based. But we have been getting a lot of traction where we have kids in the Mississippi area, kids in Illinois, Texas area have been calling and inquiring about SDA, which is amazing. Excuse me. But the most important thing is we want to recruit kids. We definitely want to hone in on our Louisiana kids, but if there's kids that's in different cities, different states, different countries, we definitely will take them in and provide the same principles of life that we're teaching these kids, and just with hard work and dedication pays off.
So let me ask this: on the prep side, with this being your first year on the prep side, did any of the kids sign last year?
So what we have 3 guys, and all 3 of those guys are going to post grad. We have two guys that are highly recruited, but they're going to do that prep year to go ahead and cash in on their offers. We do have 2 guys that are getting major attraction. Kyron Ratliff, who holds offers from Xavier, Ohio, University of Houston, Southern Miss. Also, we have a 6'3", 195-pound point guard, Alizé Johnson, who was committed to UNO, but he decommitted, and now he's opened up his recruitment again. So he's going to do his post-grad year.
Okay. And are you connected to any school? How does SDA work? So do they have the opportunity to go like to maybe like a Delgado or something like that? How does it work?
Yep. So we are partnering with we are going to partner with a college. We actually are narrowing it down right now. We do have like maybe 3 or 4 fillers out for different colleges that want to connect with us, and we just want to make sure that the process and that the partnership is correct. You know what I mean? So we do have about 3 or 4 different colleges that have reached out to us that want to be a part of what we're about because they like our vision and they want to grow with us on the post grad side. And so we want to definitely we're taking our time and making sure that both sides can benefit from this partnership.
And so let me ask this. So how does it work? So I'm assuming not everybody's from New Orleans. You may have some kids from Lafayette or Lake Charles or Shreveport. The housing situation, will they be housed somewhere close to where you guys work out, or how does that work?
Well, man, Dave, we've been fortunate enough, man. Just in the last couple of weeks, man, we've been blessed, and we have some host families that's willing to take kids in as a ministry. The host families take some kids in, have them live with them for the whole duration of the season, the whole duration of the school year, and just take those kids in like they're their own. So we've been blessed with that. We want to continue to sow seeds and have those kinds of people around that believe in kids and believe in the vision.
Absolutely. So, and let me ask this as well. So, and we all understand that every post-grad kid is not D1. You're going to have, the opportunity to put them in the NAIAs like Loyola or Dillard, and even the HBCUs as well. That aren't D1 outside of Grambling and Southern, maybe like a Wiley College or something like that as well. Even like Centennial, Centennial as well. Are you going to have like pro days where you have the coaches come down and work out in front of the guys as well?
Absolutely. We're actually working on that right now. you know, and it's important that we do say that, because everybody think that they're, you know, everything's just D1 or bust. Man, there's some really good basketball players at the NAIA level. I'm actually a product of NAIA, and I had opportunities to play at the NBA level, you know, myself. So, you know, college for me, if it's the right fit for that kid, it's the right fit for that kid, whether it's Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, because everybody can't go Division I, you know, and everybody won't thrive Division I. Some kids may thrive at the NAIA level, and it's okay. You know what I mean? And so we're not limiting ourselves to anything. You know, the kids that do have the potential to go and play high major, mid major, plus low major, they'll go do that. But the ones that need to play NAIA, guess what? We're not frowning on that, man. That's an opportunity. And
absolutely.
You know, Scottie Pippen, Ben Wallace, those guys played in the NAIA, and guess what? They was able to achieve their goals and reach their goals, you know. So, you know, it's not about what you had, it's about what you do what you had.
I like that, man. I really like that. And just, you know, like you said you're gonna play in the national schedule. You know, you're narrowing it down to which school you want to connect to. You're going to have your pro days, as you say, where you're going to have coaches from NAIA, D2, D3 come in as well. Let me ask this as well. So as you continue to build this, what is the goal between the prep and the post-grad? Of course, I know you want to get them into school. Is this going to be like a feeder program to possibly feed your prep, the post-grad, the ones that don't have the opportunities that they're looking for? Or you tell me what's the plan for that?
That's a great question. Actually, Dave, I believe in what we're doing so much that really and truly my goal for the high school is for my high schoolers to never have to go to post-grad. But if they do, they have a safety net. So my goal and the goal of the staff and everybody, that SDA, is, listen, we are here in our high school national. Like, you know, we have the post-grad, but guess what? That's not our aiming point. Our aiming point is to get you guys in somebody's university. Now, if you need it this extra year, guess what? We have it for you. So the high school is to get the kids in college, and guess what? The post-grad is to get the kids in college. So that's the goal for everybody. You know, I don't ever want a kid to come to the high school, the national side, and say, well, I'm gonna have to go to post-grad. We want our kids on the high school side to say, you know what, I am ready for college, and these coaches know that they're ready for college because they're playing at a high level, they're ready to rock and roll, they're mentally tough, and you know, they've been battle tested. You know.
Absolutely. So, and tell me more about Sloan's League on the prep side. Tell me some more about that.
Man, Sloan has an amazing league. You know, man, we have Taka Storm, who had 3 big-time Division I kids. You have SDA, who had a slew of big-time Division I kids. You know, you have, you know, Spring Creek does a great job. You have Good Vision just picked up 2 big 6'11" kids. Man, listen, the talent is unmatched. You know, you have Colorado Prep, who was freaking phenomenal, who plays both in the SWAC and in the grind session. So, you know, we're a little bit of everywhere, man. We just picked up 2 more teams. I want to say one team is from California, one's from Florida.
What about Legacy? Legacy playing in that league too?
I think that Legacy is actually coming back. Legacy didn't play this year, but I think Legacy is coming back this year. So it's gonna be a really competitive league, man. I'm talking about tons of talent, man. Tons of talent. Like, I listen, I tell my kids all the time, you know, like, what better opportunity do you want than to play against the best of the best? You know what I mean? Like, and Sloan does a great job of scheduling. He does a great job of being a commissioner. He does a great job of listening to his coaches, and making things happen, man. So the league is remarkable. The talent is remarkable, and this year you guys are going to see just more and more kids just continue to sign. You know, we've had a lot of big time kids sign in our conference this year, and so I'm looking forward to even more next year.
Absolutely, yeah, and you're right. Sloan does do a good job because, you know, like I said, that's where I saw you. You know, you guys play last year. Then I got a chance to see Legacy Prep play Prolific Prep in Houston last year, and that game was bananas. It was packed.
Yeah.
So, you know, he does attract some good talent, and I can see that league building. And what people have to understand, you know, post-grad is going to really start to build because, you know, we have so many kids in the portal. It's boxing out some of these high school kids, so they're going to be forced to go post-grad. And that's not the end of the world. By no means at the end of the world, but it's just going to be another process to say, hey, for you to get seen, you may have to do this extra year. Then you may have to do a year of JUCO afterwards, and that's not a bad thing, because if you play this game right, you can go post grad and take 1 or 2 classes, and then you go JUCO. And if you go to summer school, man, by the time you get to your 4-year school, man, you may have 2-3 years done, and you got 3 years eligibility left, man. So, man, I've been preaching that a lot, man. Like, people that have to go this route, everybody's path is different, man. Everybody's path being different, make the most of every opportunity you have, man. That's the biggest thing for me, man. And, when I saw what you were doing and I saw the quality of team you had, I was, I got to bring him on the show because I like what you were doing. And, between Sloan and what Mal does down there for the New Orleans area, what Randy does on the AAU side, Louisiana basketball stamp, man. I mean, we all in Atlanta know.
Mo's one of my close friends, man. Mo, we talk maybe 4 or 5 times a week, man. That's one of my close friends. He does a phenomenal job of just providing the platform for the kids to be able to, and I've seen Mo from the start to where he is now, and I've been just impressed with just his grind, and really his vision, because ultimately the vision is for these kids. And also with Randy, I coach actually with Randy on Live On. This year I'm actually taking a break because my wife is pregnant. She's getting ready to deliver, but so and same thing, with Live On, Florida Lee. Guys are just doing a good job of just putting these kids on the biggest platform in the world and saying, hey, look, we're doing our job, now it's your turn.
Absolutely, man. And, it's my business to get to know all you guys. I've met Sloan, I met you. I had Randy on the show. I'm gonna get them all on there, man. I'm gonna get them on here, man. If you're watching, man, I'm gonna get you on the show, brother. Like I put them up there, like with Sloan, Sean on the radar, Maul, all those guys. Though they're in that same upper echelon of event directors, you know what I mean? And they provide that platform that is much needed, and and to be honest, it provides a platform that we see, and you know what I'm saying, and and it's a shout out, definitely shout out to Hoop Scene and Phenom and Big Shots, but these type of platforms are just as important as well. And, there's a couple more, Pangos does a great job, but, it's just one of those things, like to see Louisiana getting their just due. And, I tell people now, I'm like, hey, man, Louisiana got some folks down there, man. Don't leave them out, man.
And man, listen, it's been a long time coming, man, because we've been having it, but I think we're finally getting to the point where like the basketball, we're starting to get some of the recognition. You got the Solomon Washington kid, just went big time to A&M. You got Dorian Finister just signed to Kansas State. You got Jacob Wilson just going to Wichita State. You got Jerron Pierre's going to Wichita. I mean, man, listen, these kids, we have some big time basketball players that's making some things happen. You got you got a couple kids from Madison Prep just signed Division I, man. Like it's just, and it's not just one. We're spread out, man, and it's just it's just amazing basketball that's happening right now, and we just trying to relish in and just keep it going,
The one kid, and I know you know who I'm talking about. It's DeAndre. He's like
Thomas,
man. I saw him in Atlanta.
McNeese. He's at McNeese.
Oh, he's going to McNeese?
He's going to McNeese, yep.
Okay. Man, McNeese got a steal on that one, man. He can play.
Yeah.
He can play. I saw him in Atlanta last year at Sean's event, and I was like, I tweeted out about him. I was like, man, whoever this kid is right here, he can go.
Yeah, he can go, man. He can go. Humble kid too, man. Humble kid. He works hard. Great person, even greater person off the court.
Definitely. Now, he didn't play for you, did he?
No. He was at Ellender. And then a hurricane happened, and they had a lot of damages happen. I'm not sure if it happened to his family or anything like that, but I know after the hurricane, he moved over. I know the school was damaged a great bit. And so he moved to Legacy after that, and that was a great move for him.
Yeah, that's right. He went to Legacy. That's right. He did go to Legacy because I saw him on the AAU side, and then I saw him at Legacy. Matter of fact, I saw him when they played Prolific. That's right. I saw him when they played Prolific, and man, you can see. I was like, yeah, he belongs on that big stage. Definitely belongs on that big stage. He's one of those guys, man. I just looked at him, and that's a testament to what you're talking about that New Orleans area finally getting, and not just New Orleans, that Louisiana. Getting that just due, man. They got some ballers, man, and it took really, it was the girls' side that really woke me up first, and I was like, man, where they coming from? And like for us from up, I'm originally from up north. We always knew about Louisiana Tech from back in the day. The women's side, they was always good, but we didn't know they were actually from Louisiana. It was like, man, they can ball.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, in the girls' side, same thing, man. Shucks, it's just finally happening. We're finally putting together the platform. I think one of the biggest things is even growing the media side of it. I think states like Texas do a just phenomenal job of the media side. And so we're finally getting to that point where you got guys like Josh Preston and you got Prep Hoops down here just trying to do a great job of creating a platform off the bench sports. You got like a lot of people that's trying to really do this thing at a high level and help these kids get the kind of footage they need so we can look like we belong.
Yeah, shout out to Off the Bench Sports. That's my guy, man. We did something in New Orleans during Final Four together, man. So that's my guy, man. Yeah, that's my guy, man. He's a good dude, man. Real good dude.
Over my guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely, man. And he's just one of those down to earth guys, man. And he's just trying to, like you said, put Louisiana as a whole on the map, especially what he does on the video side. Filming the games. That's big for Louisiana as well, man. And so let me ask you this, as we start to wrap this up a little bit, man. What are you trying to do long term with both? Are you trying to be an IMG, or what are you trying to do? What's your goal for this, man?
That's the goal. That's the goal. The goal is, I think IMG has set the standard for what it needs to look like. And I think that's the goal for SDA, period, bar none. I believe in my heart of hearts that, God called me to do this, to help kids in this platform, and I know it's going to come to pass. And so that's the goal, like there's no turning back now. We full throttle ahead, and we understand and we know the vision, and that's the goal. The goal is to be an IMG right down here in little old Louisiana.
Okay, I got you. My next guest, he knows you well. My guy OB, when I told him you were going to be on tonight, he was like, "Oh yeah, that's my guy." So
man, great people, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's what the show's about, man. Not just it's about basketball, but bringing good people together, man. And man, when as we were getting to know each other, man, I was like, man, I got to bring you on the show, man. I think you're gonna do some big things, man. And I can't wait to see it all happen for you, man.
Man, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me, just understanding that the grind happens, and like I always tell the kids, you just never know who's watching. Absolutely. You never know who's watching. You never know who's listening. So you always got to be ready in season and out of season, man. And so that's a great testament to that, Dave. I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate those kind of words.
Anytime, man. So before I let you go, man, for these post-grad coaches that are watching, man, how can they reach you online? How can they reach out to you if they want to play you next season?
Absolutely. You can hit me on my cell, 504-717-0918. Also, you can email me at ShaunDumasAcademy@gmail.com. It's SHAUN. Also, you can also DM me, man, on social media.
What's your Twitter page? What's your Twitter page?
My Twitter is Shaun Dumas B-Ball. My Instagram is Coach Shaun Dumas. Try to keep it all synced. And so, guys, man, reach out to me. Let's lock in, guys. Let's get some dates and let's put these kids on the biggest platform in the world.
Absolutely, man. I like that, man. Hey, man, I wish you nothing but the best, man. I can't wait to see you all play, man. You're more than welcome to come up here and play in Atlanta, man. We got something for you.
We coming this year. Oh, we coming this year for sure. We coming.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
I will be in touch this week, actually trying to narrow the schedule and stuff down because we coming.
Definitely, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. And anything I can do to support, man, I'm here for you, brother. And like I said, I'm gonna try and get down there and see some of those games as well, man. Down, especially with I support Sloan, so when you're back and forth between Houston, I'll see you as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, Sloan, like I said, man, Sloan he just does a great job, man, of just providing this platform for all our kids, man. And so big shout out to him again.
Definitely, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. Listen, this won't be the last time you come on the show. Hey, man, when you get big time, man, don't forget about us little folks, man.
Oh, guess what, man? We gonna climb this thing together. That's how we gonna do that.
Absolutely, man. That's the way it's supposed to be, man. Absolutely. Hey, man, brother, we're gonna be talking real soon, man. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. All right.
Dave, appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, man. You take care, okay?
All right. You too.
All right. Coach Sean Dumas, man. Hey, man. I love when I see a guy that got a vision like that, man. And man, you can hear it in his words, you can see it in his eyes, man. He's trying to take this to the next level, man. And when I see that, man, I'll be like, hey, man, whatever I can do to help, I'm all for it, man. Man, next guest coming up tonight, man. Hey, man, listen, you talk about perseverance, man, on the grind. I met him at the JUCO Showcase. And again, Coach Dumas brought something up, man. You never know who's watching you, man. Just like I was watching him, I had no idea he was watching me, man. I'm out here just doing my thing, grinding on the JUCO circuit. He reaches out to me, and we just get to talking. When basketball minds get to talking, one thing leads to another. We build a relationship, and we talk pretty much every week now, man. And, he was at Florida Gulf Coast, but he just got the job at South Alabama. Congratulations to him. So I wanted to introduce the new assistant coach at South Alabama, my guy, Orrin Bailey. How you doing today, brother?
Man, what's going on, man? I'm doing
you
well.
You already know, man. First off, congratulations, brother. I'm happy for you, man. Big things in store for you. Like I tell Sean, don't forget about us little people that you big time now, man. You know what I'm saying?
No. Never big time, man. Working hard and can't forget the people who helped me, man. So
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. I was happy for you, man, to see that, everything finally came together for you at South Alabama. So, man, that's why I brought you on the show, man, to talk about South Alabama for the people that don't know. And, what South Alabama got in store and what you got in store to bring to South Alabama. You know what I mean?
Okay. I think it's a hidden gem.
Okay.
So definitely got to start off with saying that wonderful facilities. Coach Richie Riley is our head coach. So I think he's a star in the business, up and coming. Most people in the business have him as, one of the next guys to just really take off, kind of like Shaka Smart. They kind of entered at the same time. So I think Coach Riley's on his way of having this big break. So I can say that I'm blessed to be given an opportunity to work on his staff. Again, the school, man, they've sunk a lot of money and resources just in the athletics. So $90 million football stadium. So that's huge. Basketball has their brand new weight room, has our own practice facility, as well as the Mitchell Center where we play games has been renovated. So it's just a wonderful opportunity, man. We've got a great staff that work together. Coach Parker, Coach Crawford bring a lot of experience. So we all get along very well, man. And we're on the grind trying to make South Alabama great, man. Want to play in a tournament and take it back to where it once was.
So, man, for the people that don't know, man, where's South Alabama located for the people that don't know?
It's in Mobile, Alabama. So Mobile, Alabama, me being a native Houstonian, I didn't know what to expect. I think it is a great city overall. It's coastal, so there's 5 to 6 beaches that are less than an hour away, which is fantastic. It's one of the original places in the world to have Mardi Gras. So downtown Mobile looks like the French Quarter if anybody's ever been in New Orleans. So that's great. I mean, it's a ton of restaurants and wonderful food. So it still has a down south cuisine. So that's definitely big. And then the airport is kind of easy to get in and out. It's not a large international airport right now. So that's great for travel. And then it's we're about 90 minutes from New Orleans. just a little bit over 6 hours from Houston via car. Pensacola is about an hour away. So we can pretty much access anything in the South if you want. I think we're probably 4, maybe 5 hours in a car ride from Atlanta.
Yep.
So that's huge. We can arguably get anywhere in the South, and it's a hidden gem, like I said.
Yeah, and what, 3.5 from Birmingham too? 3.5. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, straight shot on 65, man. Straight shot. So yeah, man, and that's going to help your recruiting base. I mean, because you may hit Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina. You're going to have a big base, man, to pull from, and that's just the region right there. South Alabama is, man, let's talk about that with the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt is no longer an up and coming conference. The Sun Belt is here. They have arrived. I mean,
Facts.
They have taken Conference USA's place. Like, no disrespect to Conference USA, but the Sun Belt has built something real good.
Exactly. This year, Marshall, Old Dominion, Southern Miss, and James Madison joined the Sun Belt. Texas State, they've had a great year. Last couple years, Coach Johnson's doing a phenomenal job down there. I mean, there's Troy, which is in-state of Alabama. Georgia Southern, Georgia State that represented the conference in the NCAA tournament. So Coastal Carolina, they're down there in Myrtle Beach area. So that's another great school. So the conference is full of talent. There's the Louisiana aspect of it, Monroe, as well as Lafayette. So again, we have a great conference. I think UT Arlington and I think it was Arkansas State will be leaving the conference in the fall as well. So they were non-football schools. So that was, from what I was told, was one of the reasons why they were leaving the conference. So large conference. I think it's going to be tough from top to bottom. A lot of talent in the conference. With the transfer portal, a lot of talent is in the portal. There's a lot of good coaches in there, good facilities in the southern part of the United States. It's going to be a great conference to be a part of, for sure.
Man, you just brought up some, we talk about this on a regular basis, but man, I just wanted to talk about this on the show, man. It's transfer portal, brother. It's transfer portal. It's a dog-eat-dog world out here with this transfer portal. And, like we talked about the other day, transfer portal's at 3,000, man. In your mind, OB, because I want you to say it, man. Sometimes the kids look at me and be like, oh, he's just talking. What does that mean for high school kids in this portal being the way it is, man?
I personally definitely think the transfer portal has changed college basketball. High school kids, the guys that'll be top 100, or 150, I don't know that it affects them. Yeah. So much initially. I would just tell high school kids, if you have schools that are recruiting you, to really try to find a home early and commit. I think the days of just collecting 100 offers, those days are over with. I would advise high school students to commit early. If you fall in love with a facility and a school and the staff, to pull the trigger. Don't wait it out if you don't have to, because you don't have to. Because in the spring, you're going to run into the transfer portal. The minute the college basketball season is over, you're gonna fight older guys for the same number of scholarships that are out there. So
let me ask this, OB. Let me ask this, brother. So we're talking that February, March, April time period, right?
Yes.
So with that February, March, April time period, would you say it's fair to say that if I offered you in September, October, November, and you have strung a school up, especially a D1 school along, and you still haven't decided by February, March, April, that there's a good chance they may go get that JUCO or portal kid instead of waiting on you?
I would think that's 100% accurate. Like I said, the best of the best guys, I think we'll have some options. But even then, I would advise a student to remain in constant contact. If you could take an unofficial, I would do that. If you've taken your official visits, in your junior year and you have all those requirements, I would definitely do it. Speaking of that, I think the kid that can get his academics in a line early and has been recruited to certain levels or ranges, they need to pull the trigger and make a decision early. As opposed, the guy that gets lost a lot of times will be the late bloomer.
Yes.
Because again, he blows up late. And again, if he's phenomenal, I think he'll find a home. But the days of playing late into the spring or even into July, I think it's going to make it really, really, really tough for those guys. So again, I encourage all young student athletes to take care of their business in the classroom so you have even more options out there. I encourage parents to begin contacting schools, doing their research earlier, taking visits, unofficial visits earlier, getting to know staffs and trying to find your ideal fit. And it's okay. I know there's this huge myth that if I don't play Division I basketball, that it's not cool or I'm not a good basketball player. That's so far from the truth that is ridiculous. I would just tell kids again, only 3 to 4% are fortunate enough to play past high school. So if you have options to play past high school, you should take them. And level doesn't matter.
Absolutely, because there's guys from every level that's going overseas and playing. We got guys that are even transferring up now because that's one of the new things I wanted to talk about, man. So now you got guys that are going D3, all conference, all American, and they're transferring up to D2 and D1 now, right?
I would agree with that. It's crazy. I would almost tell you, playing at the low major level and some even subdivision 1 levels, that has become junior college, if you will. That has been the exposure now is great. Everybody's on Synergy. All games are being watched. That's why I say levels don't matter. And if guys are able to compete, every non-Division I school are playing their fair share of Division I opponents when possible at the 4-year schools. So NAIA schools, your D2 schools, and either an exhibition game, i.e. or a non-conference game. And it's allowing them to be seen. And coaches are recruiting guys at other levels because they've had success. The Duncan Robinsons of the world. Yeah. Those are guys that played at lower tier levels initially out of high school and then had an opportunity to prove they belong and transfer in late. So you're starting to see guys again play at the low major level, play well, and then get re-recruited through the transfer portal.
Man, my next big question for you, and my next guest is coming on after you, and I thought it was important to bring him on because this is changing the culture, man. How much do you think NIL is going to affect you recruiting? Especially when I say that, let me finish the last part of that. When you go after, all you guys want quote unquote dogs, but now them dogs is coming with a price tag now and being bought off, unfortunately. How does that affect South Alabama if they're trying to recruit against, I don't want to say Alabama or SEC school, but a Kansas State, somebody like that? How does that affect you guys? Because Kansas State they're going to dip in their tail to try and get some of these kids too, man. So,
I would just tell you, Power Fives are going to have the advantage just because most of those are football schools. Bigger conferences have bigger revenue sharing opportunities. I do think that every school needs to begin being proactive in dealing with NIL. So if you're last to the party, I think you get what's left a lot of the time. I do think that this NIL is still new to college basketball. So we see the top tier kids getting certain types of NIL deals. And again, that's not, everybody doesn't have the same market value. So I will say that. So again, we're going to go after the top talented kids that we can, but we want guys that want to be a part of what we're doing. My other thing that I'll tell guys is you never know where guys are from year to year. in terms of recruiting. So
Yeah.
I mean, some of the same people that you turn down, you eventually have to come back across that bridge and see them as well later
Sure.
on down the road. So I can't say that NIL isn't important to families and to student athletes, because I know that it is. However, I don't know that I could say that that's the number one reason why I would consider a school is because of NIL. I still
Oh,
think fit matters,
yeah. Yeah.
style of play. I think a college degree has its place. So student athletes should be trying to get those things and control the variables in which they can.
Absolutely. And like you say, when you say fit, man, I can't preach that enough, man. Some of these guys get caught on the name that's on the shirt, or they get caught with you get 4 or 5 pair of shoes and a bunch of gear and all that. But then you get there and then you're upset because you have all this gear, but you at the end of the bench and you're a practice player basically. And
Well,
go ahead. What were you saying?
no, I was gonna say, that happens. Again, fit to me has always been the number one reason why guys should pick schools. If your goal is to play right away, then I think you need to go to a school where you can play right away and the roster fits your overall ability. If it's just going to the highest leveled school and you're not that particular guy, just understand that there's an opportunity for you to be re-recruited or recruited over. And it ultimately boils down to production and the swing. College basketball's changed. Before it was, hey, one and dones. And even then, when you look at those numbers of guys that play 1 year of college basketball, there may be 8 to 10 of those kids around the country.
Yeah.
So majority kids are going to need to play multiple years. They're going to need some type of development. Redshirting is still okay. I don't think that it's the end of the world for a lot of students.
I think it's great. I think it's great, especially in this climate. I think it's great.
I think, again, guys have to go after what's important to them, and no two student athletes are the same. We want winners at South Alabama. Our goal is to win championships like a lot of other programs. So I don't have anything negative to say about any other programs. I just know that, for us, we're looking for a certain type of character kid. We want kids that can do that can perform in the classroom, and then we want guys to be great athletes. So.
Okay. And so let me ask this, man. So, at South Alabama, what type of majors are going to be the most attractive? And I know you're still new there, so I know, you don't have your whole recruiting pitch down just yet. But like from a major standpoint, what does South Alabama stand out where guys, even on the team, of like, hey, do they have maybe a sports management or, every school has business. What do they have that stands out to say, oh, you come to South Alabama, this degree is going to hold some really big weight because we're one of the best in the country in this particular field?
I will tell you, we have a hospital on campus.
Okay.
We have so anything medical field wise, I think we have a great opportunity for a student athlete to get that. I would tell you kinesiology again. We've got some real good programs solid over there. Like you mentioned, everybody has a business school. I think we've got a ton of different programs and the ability to build a specific type of curriculum. Also, that flexibility for some kids, because not every student athlete knows what they want to study when they initially enter school, especially if you're a college freshman. That changes from time to time. So we do a fantastic job of getting guys graduated and trying to handle their endeavors.
Okay. So let me ask this. So, from a recruiting perspective, are you more geared towards JUCO, post-grad, international, high school, or is it just a matter of can they play?
I think ultimately it boils down to can they play. Coach Riley does believe in taking a couple high school kids each year, so he wants a little youth on the roster. But again, have you seen as of late the teams that play late into March and possibly early April? They're older teams. They're older kids. So Coach Riley's made a living on transfers. So guys, this being their final destination, whether they have 1 year left or even a couple years, he's been able to have a lot of guys come in and improve their stock and their stats, and also win and allow them to be able to go on and position themselves to have a career after college, which so many young student athletes want to have.
Gotcha. So, and and I know, I don't know if you might know this yet. The guys that go to South Alabama, do they go on to play professionally overseas, or what's that number? And I'm not saying, I need a Hall of Fame list, but they do have those opportunities to go play overseas or Canada or Mexico or something like that, correct?
Yeah, yes, definitely. I think the conference we play in is definitely competitive enough. At the end of the day, one thing I've learned in collegiate athletics is when you play in the postseason in March, more eyes are on you.
Yes.
So the more you win, the more your opportunities open up for you. So if kids are talented enough, they'll get afforded those opportunities. Us currently, the last couple of years, I know this year alone, I think we've got two guys that are looking to play overseas right now and kind of going through their draft,
Okay.
pre-draft type of deal right now from the current roster. And then I know a couple guys that we'll have this year or were highly touted coming out of high school. And we've got several high major transfers on the roster. So those guys will have an opportunity to play past college.
Man, my next question, man, I'll probably clip this one. When you are out here, whether it be at a JUCO showcase, a live period event, or what have you, or a high school game, what is it that in your eyes says, hey, that kid is a South Alabama kid, or I want to research further if he's a fit for our program? What can that kid do in any event, whether it be high school game, JUCO showcase, high school showcase, AAU live period? What can he do to attract, to say, Coach Bailey really likes that guy. I'm going to look into, I like what he has. What is it in your mind?
I think it's a variety of things. Number one, I think the attitude on the floor. Your talent is what usually catches our eye, and your production on the court. But then we are investigating character. We're trying to see, how do you get along with teammates? What's your attitude? Are you coachable? Most important, does your best skill, does it translate to the next level? And if so, how? And then how do you stand out compared to the other competition that's being played? I know a lot of guys think if they score 30, 40, 50 points in a game, that automatically means that they're going to play Division I basketball. And a lot of times we're looking for pieces to the puzzle. So we want to see talented guys. We want to see guys that play the right way. We want to see guys that ultimately impact the game. And regardless of the position that you play, we want winners. We want guys that know how to play the game the right way. And when we go back and check academics and those other things, we need them to align as well. So of course we don't see that on the court, but just body language. Is it positive? Is it negative? I watch guys in the warm-ups and just kind of see, are they fully dressed? Are they going hard in the warm-ups? Then also when there's some type of adversity that happens to them or a teammate, how do they respond? So if a guy gets in foul trouble, hey, was he up cheering for his teammates? Was he still being a positive individual? Is he sitting at the end of the bench? Is he engaged? So I think there's a lot of different formulas that we kind of use to try to put together to calculate that. But I would encourage being a positive teammate all the time, sprinting on and off the floor, giving max effort on the court. Don't be the cool guy, not arguing with the officials. And again, we're always looking. You started the podcast off by kind of saying that you never know who's watching. When guys are going to the concession stand, when they're kind of walking around the facility, again, we're trying to see how you conduct yourself in that manner. Because again, when we leave the court, we still need you to be able to represent your family and represent the school and the program the right way.
Okay, man. And I ask this a lot, man, but you're not immune from this either, man. How important is it for these guys to know, I won't even say shell drill anymore, defensive principles coming in as a freshman? Will that get them closer to being on the floor than being able to drop 45 or 50?
I would tell you, absolutely. Defense, I think a lot of it is effort. And then it's the particular schematics that you're playing on defense. But the basic principles of ball help deny, plugging holes. There'll be some defensive thing. Most importantly, guys think that they got to show us that they could score. Well, if you can defend your position, then we can arguably distribute minutes to you out there. So usually once guys get on campus during the summer and begin playing with the other guys, they start to see how hard they have to go, and what are certain philosophies that each coaching staff utilizes, and being able to compete defensively and not be a liability also immediately helps you to get on the floor.
Absolutely. And you just touched something. I definitely want to speak on this. And I don't know whether it's South Alabama or not, just in general, in your experience, is it more important to get that kid on campus for summer school and get ahead of the guys that get there in the fall, especially freshmen?
I would tell you want every advantage possible. So if a kid could show up at the beginning of summer workouts, he now gets to work on his body, because I would tell you 98% of the kids need to work on their body first and foremost. So they're going to spend time with the strength coach and begin conditioning. High school shape isn't college shape. Yeah. So that's the biggest adjustment. It's a lot of guys' first time being away from home. So again, they're learning to eat correctly. And then just learning how to practice, because that is really, really important to many coaching staffs, is the guy be able to come in and start to pick up their terminology, and then just most importantly to continue to improve, and then come in and compete. So those are huge days and opportunities to make an impression on the coaching staff, is if you can get there in June and get in those workouts, and just build a rapport with the coaches as well as your teammates. While a kid that shows up August 1st, August 10th, whatever, 5 days before school starts, that kid's going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage because he would have missed all the summer workouts. So he's behind the 8 ball. Again, especially making an impression for the staff. And then you'll have your off season, which should probably be about 6 weeks or so in the fall. And then after that, it's full season preparation. So there's usually battles at every position. Coaches are trying to decide the depth chart. So the more time that you have to show what you could do, the better it bodes for you.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And man, just in closing, man, I always ask, not just coaches, like when kids are telling me, I'm looking at this school, I'm looking at this school. And I always ask the question, what's the long-term goal? What are you trying to do? And surprisingly, man, I'm not going to say none. That's not good. A lot of them will be like, I don't know, just trying to get on. And that I'm just trying to get on, man. That lets you know you lost. You really don't have an idea of what you're trying to do. And I would take it from, if I was in your shoes, if I asked a kid, what are you trying to do? What are you looking for? You ask me that a lot of times, and not what I'm looking for. What is the kid looking for? And, sometimes I can tell you without a doubt. Other times I'm like, I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Because if I approach you about somebody that, you may have interest in, and, you'll start asking those investigative questions. So yes, a lot of times I'll say, hey, this guy is this, or this guy is that. But when you start asking some of, your typical questions, it makes me think, and I'm like, this kid has no idea how to answer that. And sometimes I want to say, we're almost to the point in this whole college basketball world, man, that a lot of these guys need to be groomed, because some of their questions some of their answers to questions are just like, what?
Well, I think I'll just say this. I think it's great when they can have mentors.
Yes.
And people can give back to them and just kind of explain the process. I would tell you most student athletes are playing for the love of the game, and that's great. But college basketball, or college athletics in general, it's a business. So I think that those two don't align. It's a give and take system. You have to produce in the classroom, you have to produce on the court or field, wherever it may be. So I don't think a lot of student athletes take advantage of getting a college degree, because it's extremely hard in the workforce to operate without a collegiate degree. So when I ask that question, that's one thing that I kind of want to hear. Hey, this is what I want life to look like post basketball. This is
stop right there. Stop right there. Now, in all honesty, when you ask that question, how many kids actually give you a acceptable answer?
For every 10 kids that I may ask that question to, I probably say it's 3 or 4. I mean, most guys say, look, I want to play professionally. I want to go to the league. That's the traditional answer that we receive. For me, I just kind of ask, well, what happens? You know, and most people just haven't planned it out all the way through. And again, college athletics, kids 17 of 23 usually are who we bet our jobs on out there, and they're still moldable young men. So again, they see the athletic side without knowing the business side to go with it. So I just encourage kids to get a degree. If you're fortunate enough to be fast tracked to a higher level, and you're one of those special guys that play in the NBA or G League or whatever that may be, I think that's fantastic. But you can always fall back on your education, and that's necessary. And you got to have a plan put in place so you can have that. A lot of these guys that are graduating then have the opportunity to get internships and basically just create relationships and opportunities that jumpstart their post basketball career or gives them an additional option to consider. So I think that they've got to start to look at the big picture. It's great to have that one goal of what you want to accomplish in basketball, but I would say as a man, you need to figure out what it is that you would want to be and what your life looks like 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Absolutely.
Overall. And then how they can actually help their families, because everybody's family dynamics are different at this point.
Absolutely, man. And wrapping this up, man, one of my last questions, man, and why South Alabama? Why South Alabama over any other school?
I just believed in the culture. I believed in I'm from Houston, so it's an opportunity to stay in the South region. A lot of my recruiting base and ties are down south, so I would, that felt comfortable. But just meeting with the staff, I thought that was great. I thought there was some chemistry. Coach Riley, again, he's trending up. You're coming into a winning program. They've won 20 games multiple years, and I feel like we're just on the verge of doing that. So I enjoyed my time at Florida Gulf Coast. I mean, we won 22 games last year. I worked with some amazing guys, Coach Fly, Kevin Sutton, Justin Furr, Austin Kidd, Harrison Chipkin. I mean, our whole staff was great. I mean, we didn't catch a good break. So that happens sometimes in the industry. So was fortunate enough to land on my feet and have a new opportunity and prepared to run with it. So, you live and you learn.
Absolutely, man. Hey, man, first of all, man, congratulations again, man. I'm happy for you, brother, to see you making moves, man. And, I'm excited to get down to Mobile, and because I've never actually been on South Alabama's campus. So, I got to get down there. I got to get my media credential for South Alabama this season too, man. So I'm looking forward to that, man. And, whatever I can do to help, man, I'm a phone call away, man. I appreciate you all the time, man. Definitely.
Oh, man, thanks for having me, man. Enjoyed being on there, man. And go Jags, man. We got to get you on campus, man, get you to some games. And, hey, anybody that's looking to be a part of a winner, South Alabama's the place.
Absolutely. OB, I appreciate you, brother, man. We'll be talking soon. But man, definitely appreciate you coming on, man. We'll talk, man, okay?
All right. Thanks, Dave.
All right, take care. That's Coach Bailey, man. I'm telling you, man, if you don't know about South Alabama, you will real soon, man. They're up and coming. They're already a good program, but they're a program that people just didn't know about. But you guys are going to see some light real soon. And then the other thing is, for you people that don't know about the Sun Belt Conference, the Sun Belt Conference is tough. And people are going to learn real quick in November and early December when you see these Sun Belt teams knock off some teams and you start to say, whoa, I didn't know. And I'm just going to be sitting back saying, man, I told y'all these teams are pretty good. and they're in a very quality conference. So, I always love to bring people like OB on the show where people, need to get to know more, and go look up South Alabama. For you guys that don't know about it, take a look at the school, see what it's about. For you guys that have possibly interest in it, you JUCO guys, you high school guys, you post-grad guys, take a look. Take your own unofficial. You don't have to wait on anybody. Take your own unofficial, go on campus, have admissions show you around, hit up one of the coaches and say, hey, I'm coming to take a look at the campus. Can I talk to you guys for a couple minutes? If they're free, I'm pretty sure they would do it. Man, my next guest, boy, I've been waiting for this. One of my hometown guys. And as we even touched on some of this NIL stuff, this is the guy you want to talk to about NIL. Definitely. He's going to enlighten me as well. If you pay attention to his Twitter page, just looking at some of the content has had me questioning this whole NIL thing. And number one, how lucrative it's becoming and how it's changing everything. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to the show Andrew Petcash from Pittsburgh, PA. How you doing, man?
What's up, David? Thanks for having me on, brother.
Oh, man, I've been waiting for this, man. When Coach Anthony told me about you, man, and I start going through your page, and then I just start scrolling because the content you were given about this NIL, it's that's why you're on the show, man, because I was like, man, I want you to enlighten people about this whole NIL thing, what you do as well. And, we're just going, take a whole little piece of the show and just get people knowledgeable more about this NIL thing. So, man, tell them about what you do, and we'll go from there, okay?
For sure. Yeah, so I played basketball at Boston University, for those of you that don't know. Graduated last year, and I had the option to come back or be done, and I actually chose to kind of move on as I was just ready, and I saw some opportunities in the space. I work with the Air app, which some of you might be familiar with. It's like LinkedIn and Tinder for the whole sports world. And then I also started the Petcash Post, where I write about mostly the business of athletes, and then also name, image, and likeness, NIL. And that's kind of where my passions lie, still in sports. But I also love like the business entrepreneur role. So it's like the perfect intersection for me. And it's kind of how we got to here. Actually, I think good starting place. I was up in Boston this past week just to see all the boys, all my old teammates, because a lot of them are graduating. Like Javante McCoy, Suk Matan, like they have a chance to play maybe on 2-way contracts this year. So I played with some really good players. But anyway, like even them, they had no clue about NIL, and they went through a whole year, and now they're trying to like get paid. And like, man, I wish we would have known a little bit more early. So it's like, for me, I feel like I know everything. You probably feel like, David, you know a little bit, but like for a lot of parents and players, like this is still brand new.
Yes.
So that's what I'm just trying to like help athletes, where everyone else comes from the company side. They go top down. I'm trying to go bottom out and help the athletes, which will fuel the rest of everything.
And man, what you just said right there just hits home, because when we talk NIL, you said it best. It's everybody waiting for the company to come get them. And in my mind, I'm thinking, man, as an athlete, build your brand. Build your brand to be noticed and make it to where you have these followers to where they can't ignore you like that. Like, of course, if you're a wooden All-American, of course, yeah, they coming for you. But man, I'm waiting, and of course, I know it's still new. I get that. But what I'm waiting to see is that guy that's just your average 10-point guy, 10.5 rebounds, which is still a great career. Don't get me wrong. But I want to see him be one of those 4 founders that take this to a whole nother level, because he may have an Ernst & Young, or he may have Fortune 500s. And even if it's not Fortune 500, like mid companies, or small companies just wanting to get at him. And when I start reading your stuff, I was like, man, you're probably going to be the perfect person to lead a lot of these kids into, and it's more knowledge more than anything. And the knowledge is still new. So there's really no manual for this right now.
Right, 100%. And like for even the athletic departments don't know what they're doing too. Like that's the other huge piece. Like they're trying to figure it out. And now you throw in NIL and then you also add in like crypto, blockchain, Web3, and this whole new like technological world. It starts to get really confusing because now you're not just trying to go your social media. You're trying to learn what is an NFT and how did, Sharif O'Neal just make $500,000 off of it. Can I do something similar? So it's like that plays into it as well. And like, so I'm interested in obviously helping the athletes and just educating and honestly educating everyone. But also I'm like genuinely curious. Like it's how I get myself to learn blockchain, NFTs, like new tech, data analytics, like performance stuff, because I'm interested in that. But now I can actually like take what I learn and just give my knowledge to other people.
And give it to the athletes as well, because we all know this ball's going to stop bouncing, whether it's in 4 years or like you said, if you're fortunate enough to get a 10-day contract or go G League or go overseas. Really, once you get to college and you hit 21, your clock is ticking anywhere to 2 to 3 or 4 years. Those guys that are playing into their 30s, that's less than 1 or 2%, man. And that's 1 or 2% of the 3 or 4% that play college athletics. So that's the equivalent of hitting the lottery.
People don't know how hard it is. They have no idea. Me and you know, coaches know, players know, but like 99% of people, because they weren't that 1%, they have no idea.
Yeah. And man, I tell people that all the time, like plan for your future, because when this ball stops bouncing, you can still love it. But if you didn't plan for your future, you'll be one of those guys in the barbershop talking, oh, I did this and I did that. But people they're looking at you like, well, what are you doing now? And that's the big thing. Like, take this and run with it. Like you said, take the NIL and build from it. Or take, if you want to go into commentating or journalism or whatever, or coaching, that's fine. If you want to get out of the game and get into business, take advantage while you still had the chance in school, man. And so many guys have all their eggs in one basket. And that's why I said what I think you're doing is phenomenal. And I think it's really going to take off because it's so new and so little people don't know anything about it. And, when you start talking agents, they want their cut off the rip, whereas if you're offering a service, like you're not saying, okay, if you make 500,000, I'm taking 10% or I'm taking 12%. You're not doing that. You're offering, say, hey, here's my service. This is what I do. This is the knowledge that you're passing on that you've learned as an athlete. And you're even saying it yourself that you wish you had the opportunity on. But it's so new, nobody knew.
Yeah, and something else like in the space is you have to keep in mind like the agents, lawyers, like they're in the real money seats. Like if like to say like, hey, they already are smart enough. They already have clients in pro sports or in equivalents. So they're sitting here going, oh, like there's this huge, $1 billion market that popped out of nowhere. And so like we might not see it now, but in 2 years, you start to see kids that like they made a mistake. They didn't read the contract. They got involved with a bad agent. So like that's my other thing is like I'm trying to like minimize as much of that as possible. And like some people will get mad at me in the industry for that. And like lawyers, for some reason, they have like the loudest voice in NIL just because they read the contracts. But a lot of them, I'm like, well, number one, you never played a sport in college. So you've never been an athlete. You've never coached. So you don't know that side of it even. And you've also like, you're probably, a lawyer is a great profession, but you're not like an entrepreneur. You never built something. So how are like they like the ones kind of like running the show? It's like, because the collectives, and I'm sure we'll get into all this, but like the people with the money or the big companies are basically paying the lawyers or their agents and they're swiping up the top talent. So it's like, well, yeah, they have the biggest voice because they have the media attention, which is, and there's some great ones, don't get me wrong, but it's like, you got to be careful who you listen to because a lot of the people, like I get paid $0 from NIL. So I'm not bought out by anybody, anyone, any company. So I'm going to tell like the truth. Where a lot of people, like they might be saying something that it's like, oh, best interest, but you don't know who's like lining their pockets.
Yeah.
Especially like people saying, oh, this NIL rule this, NIL do this. But it's like, Yeah, but don't forget, someone's paying them. So that narrative might get diluted at some point. It might not yet, but just remember that. So that's my thing. Like, I don't really ever want to get involved. Like, people have reached out to me. Like today, I had three college athletes, big schools, SEC, Big 12, reach out to me. But it's like, I'm not trying to get into the agent or the managing or like the service game, or that's not really my thing. Like, hey, if you want to like learn, like read my stuff, and like I can put you in contact with some people, but I'm not trying to like get into the whole, pay me for service type deal.
So you're more knowledge driven, correct?
Yeah.
And that's why I respect it, man. Like I said, like when Dre told me about you and I just started reading about it, I was like, I just found myself I kept going down because I was like, oh man, because like your articles that you wrote, they lead like you're just saying it. It's the knowledge that you're saying, hey, this guy's doing this one investment. This guy's doing that one investment. This guy's doing that. And it leads into everything that you're doing. So by the time I got to like the 25th or 30th tweet, you know what I mean? Now I'm like, I want to know more. I want to know more. I can only imagine like if I was 17 or 18 thinking like I think now, my gosh, I would have been all over it. You know what I mean? And I think that's what your goal is, to say, hey, you guys have an even bigger opportunity than when you were in school to really take this to a whole nother level if you just do your research, correct?
100%. Yeah. I mean, and that's what I say. Like, I'm trying to be the first, like, we're all unique in our own way, right? And I try to emphasize that on NIL. Like, people think you got to act a certain way or you got to follow someone else. No. Just follow what you like, stay consistent, be disciplined, do you, and it will fall in line, like whatever you're interested in. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm still interested in sports and the business of it. And like, if NIL was around, like if I was still in college, like I'd be doing, deals on that, just like I do other deals for, someone wants to put their ad on my newsletter, et cetera. Like, yeah, cool. Like, that's awesome. But like, to have learned that in college would have been huge. Like, especially going to BU. Yeah, I went to BU, and people now, they're always like, man, you went to Boston University. It's a great school. I'm like, well, number one, I did. But number two, I never would have been there. I would have never sniffed there if it wasn't for basketball. So it's like, that was awesome. And I realize it now. But then also number two, like to say, hey, I didn't really like build anything. I never had to reach out to brands. I never had to talk to companies. I never had to talk to founders. Like, these kids get great interview experience. They get great, like, how to manage an agent, a lawyer. And it like all ties back where I read something like, every book you read, like, you might forget most of it, but it still like sticks and ingrains in you. And like, these skills will stick and ingrain with you forever. Just like basketball, any sport, like what you learn character wise will stick with you forever. And that's NIL's best and greatest asset, is it's basically fine tuning the next generation of entrepreneurs and athletes. All the people I work with know that are elite performers, all involved in athletics at some point, or the military. So one of the two, tomato, right? But yeah, I mean, NIL.
Let me ask you this question, man. And I'm going even further, because right now, we all know the money is in, of course, Power 5. But what I'm waiting to see in all this, you can't tell me, with us being both from Pittsburgh, I'm waiting for that guy from Carnegie Mellon to cash in and hustle this. That's what I'm waiting to see. Somebody from Emory, somebody from NYU to take this to a whole nother level, because as well as I know, those guys get incredible internships where they're getting paid already. And what I'm waiting to see is, I want to see somebody from that perspective take this and just run with it and open people's eyes and say, hey, you don't have to be a Power 5 to take this and really do some really good, investment work and make a nice little piece of change. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. Like, one of the kids, I don't know what if he's interested in computer science or history or something, and showing that side, be like, hey, here's my athlete side, but here's also my, whatever that interest is. It doesn't matter. It could be literally anything. And then those brands come and find them, and he does some cool deals. And
exactly,
that'll be super cool. Like, we're actually with Air, we're doing something cool where this kid, he plays at Johns Hopkins baseball, but we're gonna bring him on, and it's kind of like an NIL deal, but it's like, it's just to get media and press out of it as well. But he's a computer science, really great kid, good baseball player, really smart, talented, but it's like, hey, let's give you some experience. Let's get you some media with an NIL deal, etc. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, of course, the top guys are going to make money. They were probably doing it under the table anyway, and they're going to go to the pros anyway.
Yeah.
But what about these guys that actually like this is their one chance? Like college is their peak. I wrote about that one time.
Yeah.
This NIL is helping athletes capture their peak value. So for a lot of college athletes or a lot of athletes, college will be their peak. So it's like, hey, let's see them capitalize on that. Whether it's 50,000, 500, 500,000, who knows? But like you still have that opportunity and you only get 4 years, 5 years. Like go make something happen with it. And that's
I agree.
even why on my tweets, like the more so the business of athletes, I try to show like people forget. So I did a thread on Marshawn Lynch the other day, football player, and people see like some image of him, right? They have some perception, but it's media driven. Like I said, it's top down. Well, I try to go bottom up. No. You don't know Marshawn. Of course, he was a great football player, but he's really smart too. Look at all his investments. Look what he's doing to build wealth, not only for him, but his future, his community. And also, look, he's a good dude. He's donating to charity. He's doing all this. And people really, that's why like you get ingrained in him and other people, because it's like you don't see this side. And I'm trying to show that side. And if you want to talk about like my vision, like the NIL business of athletes, a couple years down the line, it's kind of like, hey, I built a company, I built a media brand, a personal brand, like my own NIL, name, image, and likeness isn't new to just college. And like kind of roll something where I can start to get involved with athletes and companies. And we're like, hey, I really like the vision of this company. We got 5 athletes, 5 college athletes. We got money and we got social media followers. Let's do some angel investing or venture capital.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's like my like goal because I'm obsessed with like the athlete entrepreneur. Like it's just, man, like there's nothing better than me seeing like these guys in the pros now doing that. And like I didn't get my chance to go do it as a professional athlete. And so now I'm like, hey, I'm still an athlete, but let me do it on the business and let me help the athletes and stay involved.
Absolutely, man. And so, for people that are, the people that are listening and, the ones that are listening live and then the ones that watch it, after the recording, how can they reach out to you? Can they reach out to you on Twitter? Do you have a website? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, Twitter is the best. I answer everyone. I mean, I say everyone, but some people, they just say it's a scam or they don't say anything or they're rude. So I won't answer those. But everyone, like if you ask a genuine question that like it's not just like you could Google it and you just create a conversation, like I'll answer you, help you out, make a connection, whatever. Because I always wish I had those people when I was going through it, because I felt like I got ghosted a lot. Like, hey, I'm an athlete, I'm trying to build something, and people would just be like, too big time. So like, I can't say I'll always be able to do that, but my goal is to at least try to answer everyone and help them where I can.
Definitely. So, but what's your Twitter page where they can reach you at?
My Twitter is @AndrewPetcash, so it's just my name.
Okay.
You can send me a message there, and happy to answer. And then also my website is it's just petcashpost.com. And it's actually attached to my Twitter as well.
Okay. And they can just click on it in the bio.
Yeah, it's just right in the bio.
Okay. So, like I said, we talked about what your vision is for all this. So since you've been on Twitter, I would have to assume that, it's starting to pick up some where people are starting to become more interested. Because like I said, listen, I was one of them, like I said, even though it was, through a mutual friend that told me about you. But once I started to check you out, I was like, oh, man, who is this? And, like I said, it was some really good content on there. And I would have to assume I'm not the only one that's taking a look at this and just have, said, hey, man, I like what you're doing, yada, yada, yada. I would have to assume now that's taking up a good part of your day now.
Yeah, it takes up a little bit. I've been able to meet a lot of cool people. Like I'm starting to get involved with, and I'm trying to be smart here as well, but like a lot of the financial advisors for some of these athletes, because now they go, hey, you did that thing on Kevin Durant. Well, I manage blah, blah, blah. Why don't we do something for him? Because it's good publicity for them as well. Like, some of these tweets are getting 2-3 3 million impressions, like someone would
Yeah.
pay a lot of money to get that. So like if I can showcase them in the right way and it's their client, you know.
That's a good look. Yeah, that's
So
brilliant. Yeah.
so like I'm trying to be smart on that too, because like I said, I'm never trying to like sell out to anyone or everyone we all forget, people can be nice, but the people have self-interest also. So I'm
Always.
just trying to
It's
keep
the
that in
business
mind.
end. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it's been awesome. I mean, my goal really is just to get a really good sponsor of something like I would wear or I would like use for athletic wise and just get a long-term deal with them. And that's like people will ask, oh, what's my monetization strategy? And I always like to say it because like if you do NIL, yeah, you can have 100,000 Twitter followers or Instagram, TikTok, but what's your monetization strategy? But so for me, it's like, hey, to plug in these brands, whether to a Twitter thread or on the newsletter and, promote them, but I got to believe in them. So that's kind of like my strategy. And that's honestly where I help athletes the most is they go, hey, I have this, how do I monetize? What am I worth? A lot of athletes don't know what they're worth. So there's all these like valuations things out there, but to be honest, they're kind of just made up, right? Like there's not, they leave out a lot of true metrics. You know what an athlete is worth is what a company is willing to pay. Now that's a very like standard blanketed statement, but it's like true. Like some athletes might have a much smaller social media following, but their engagement's off the roof. So it's like, what's this company willing to pay? And you got to have a gauge though. So I always try to help athletes on that. Like, hey, here's your gauge. Like, here's some deals I've signed myself or I've seen like go down. Ask for this. You want to be a little higher because they're going to come down a little. But if you're too high, they'll ignore you and they'll just laugh. Like, that's a joke. But if you're too low, they'll snap it up right away. And then you knew you were too low. Yeah. But it's better to be low for your first one. Use that one and leverage another deal. Yeah, so like, if I was an athlete, I'm an athlete. I'm doing everything to get that first deal. Get that first deal and then go, hey, look, I worked with this company. Boom, get the next one and then just compound it. Just like when you play basketball in high school, you get one offer, the next day, you have 5. It's the same concept.
Exactly. And so, in what you speaking at is, and that was a great analogy with, everybody knows when you get that first offer, the next 4 or 5 are coming. But now we're talking, let's just say you were at BU, because then the question becomes, this is it's a grind as a student athlete, number one. It's a huge grind. And let's be honest, if we're 19, 20, 21, and like you said, let's just say we're able to grab one of these deals, right? Now the focus is off. And let's just say that and I'm not even saying they get a $400,000. Let's just say they get a $30,000 deal. You know as well as I know, a college student getting 30 G's. That's
big
huge.
Time.
Yeah, that's big time. And my only concern is once they get it, are you still there to help? Like, okay, you got this 30,000, you may want to invest it, or are you just advising to say, hey, you might want to meet with a financial advisor? What's the plan? Let's just say they follow your advice to the T and they're able to score a deal. Do you say, hey, now that you scored this deal, you don't want to blow all the money now that you got it? What's your advice or plan for a guy like that?
Right. And like I said, I've like given advice, but usually I'll push to actual advisors that I trust like, or agents. But I can still answer this because I helped. So at our school, we got a little bit of a stipend, right? So we had leftover money, and I'd always like, no one on our team invested in stocks or anything before I got there. So like when and I'll say this, I try not to pump myself up, but this was the one thing, like when I left though, half the team was investing some of that money, where before it was, hey, let's go buy a new pair of J's, we're going out to the club, we're buying a table tonight. And like, I go, yeah, we can still do that, but let's split it and we can do it one time, but so we got usually about 4,000 to 5,000 depending on circumstances. Yeah. But that's like, they say it's for food, right? But you're going to have a good chunk left over. Yeah. So even if it's an NIL deal, it still relates. But it was kind of like, hey, take 1,000 right away and invest that, and invest it in like one of these things, like a safer index fund, et cetera. And now you want to go buy a pair of shoes, do that. But I'm also like, you can also put that money in stocks. And when it, they don't all go up, but when it goes up, well, now your stocks just bought your pair of shoes and you still have the same amount.
And that's what I was just getting ready to say. Take that $1,000 and then you take some of that profit off of that 1,000. And like you're saying, go get the J's, or if you want to go out. But that 1,000 is still making money still. So I'm with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, I do got to say, there's going to be some athletes that are in tax problems. Like, I mean, professional athletes struggle with this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're expecting college athletes too. I know. I still, I did taxes for the first time 2 weeks ago. And I was like, man, this is complex. So, I mean, college athletes, I hope these athletic departments are hiring the right people. They're providing, at least bringing people in. Like, there's going to be a few years of like turmoil, I think, of just like things going wrong. So hopefully there's some leniency to be like, listen, like we set up a new system. It's great long term, but short term, there's going to be some bumps in the road.
Oh yeah. Because when that tax bill hit, a lot of people don't pay. They don't plan for that capital gains tax at all.
No, you give a kid does a $50,000 NIL deal. Oh, at $50,000. No, buddy, you owe taxes on that right away.
24%.
So like, yeah, theoretically, they cut that. We'll just say cut that in half. Like, so we're definitely going to see some issues with that probably starting next year.
Yeah, and I think now, correct me if I'm wrong. Now I think it's on the school just as much, because with these NIL deals flying out, you got to have some type of support system to educate these kids. Because if you don't, like you said, it's going. Let's just say, like what we're talking right now, a freshman comes in, and let's say he's a star at BU. Let's say BU gets a 4-star. And we know that's a rarity for them to get a 4-star, but they get a 4-star.
I got a theory on how they can do that, though, which I'll say after this.
And then let's say that this happens, and let's say we're talking that NIL deal. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, instead of 4,000 or 5,000, let's just say it's 15, right? So, all right, it's 15,000. In his mind, that's 15,000, right? But no taxes have been thought about that from that deal. So by the time he's a senior, he may be in the hole 4 years because he knew nothing about that, right?
100%. Yeah.
So is it on the school to say, hey, we have somebody on retainer or on staff or whatever the case may be to help you guys with this, because you guys can't take all this money or you're going to be in huge trouble by the time you're a senior or by the time you graduate?
Yeah, I mean, theoretically it is on the schools, but they already have trouble at BU. I mean, great academic institution. We had I think we had 3 academic advisors for every student athlete in the entire school.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of student athletes, and they were stressed out. It's their first job. They're not making much money. It's not easy for them to, basketball players, BU hockey was big. Like, we come in there and we're like, man, we're like F school, man. We're just trying to hoop, bro. We're just ballers. But so like now you go, imagine now it's like, hey, we're ballers and we're making money. What's that academic advisor going to tell you? Pay tax. They're going to be like, man, no, I'm not hearing that. So we'll see. I hope the schools, but back to my point, I don't know how much time we have. I mean, I can.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead. You're fine.
So essentially, I don't know how much you looked into like NIL collectives. Have you looked into this at all?
Because of you? Because of you, yes.
Okay, but let me just explain, because I'm sure a lot of people, this is where most of the confusion is coming around NIL, because it was initially supposed to be just endorsements, right?
Yes.
Nike can come to you, Under Armour, a local shop. Hey, here's $2,000 promoted on social media. Yeah. Well, there's the loophole where now big boosters and alums have started their own companies called collectives or trusts, which are the same thing, just different name. And they pulled money from fans and also their pockets, because many of them are billionaires. And they said, hey, we want to boost the University of Pittsburgh, Texas, for example.
Texas and Kansas State. Then I just read about Kansas State.
Yeah. Well, every big school is going to have one now. But essentially, they're like the new owners of this football and basketball and most sports, sometimes baseball, sometimes hockey, depending on what's big, but men's football and basketball. And they basically control these contracts. Say, hey, we want to get a transfer. Here's $500,000. Hey, we want to bring in this 5-star. We can give them $1 million.
Yeah.
Well, you realize now you just boxed out the athletic department, because now these kids are listening to this random guy
Yeah.
that runs the collective. Now he has a lot of money and power, and it's like, hey, well, he's got his own agenda. He's essentially like a pro sports team owner. So we now have owners in college sports, and that's where the problems are going to arise. But of course, I want the kids to go make that mill, 500,000. That's what they're worth. 100%. That's what they're worth.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is now, who's really running the show? The coaches aren't recruiting. This athletic department's not going, hey, we have these facilities in great school. Some collective, some sports team owner is basically, hey, I have the paycheck. You listen to me. I control this. Here's what you make. I renegotiate your contract. I get you this. I do this. So it's like, this isn't even really college sports anymore. So I just hope that like people don't lose interest. And I hope like things don't get too bad. I hope it shuffles out.
I don't think they'll lose interest. I think
some people though
pressure on the NCAA though.
100%. But I'm saying for some fans,
Yeah,
they might, when you're watching, you think no one's getting paid. You're like, okay. But now when that kid, he got $3 million and he's screwing up, that's a lot of pressure on the kid. Now you're like, am I watching college sports for University of Texas, or am I just watching, like a professional team? Like, so that's like the one if that I'm like, we need that worked out. Now it's great for the players. It's more these collectives that are kind of screwing stuff up, because the athletic departments should be the ones paying. But it's like now Title IX, antitrust laws, you got to pay all that.
Yeah, exactly. That's tough. Yeah.
That's where it gets tough. But to my theory about how BU could get a 4-star, it'd be super easy. Just start a collective at Boston University, raise money from big donors. People donate a couple $1 million to Boston U every year for basketball, hockey, whatever. Say, hey, donate $1 million to the athletic department, donate $1 million to this collective, and now let's go get a 4-star. It would change the program. Now, no one else in the Patriot League's doing that. So guess what? Now BU would be on a pedestal. So I'm interested to see like what lower. So BU's mid-major, we competed. We beat South Carolina. We went to the tournament. We did all that. But we're still a step below the Power Fives.
Sure.
But you give a collective $200,000. Now you get one transfer for $50,000. You get $150,000 4-star.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, now you're like, you might be cruising through the Patriot League. You're going to the tournament, and now maybe you're in a position to move up a conference. You're just going to win the Patriot League for years on end. So now either other schools got to start paying, or you got to like move. Like that's where I'm like interested to see what schools jump on it first.
So yes, but now I want to take it a step further. Now we're talking, like you said, Boston U has good money behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said I want to see what an MIT, and of course they're not big on basketball, but when we start talking money that's donated, that's nothing when you're talking about you got Zuckerbergs and some of the top CEOs in the world that have went there. I want to see how that changes the game, because number one, Ivies and D3 don't give out scholarships. Is this going to be a way to say, hey, come here for free? We'll get you in. We have these companies, whether it's a collective of Facebook guys or Microsoft guys or whatever the case may be, no school can mess with that type of money, right?
That would be cool. Yeah, I didn't even think of that from that angle.
That's why I brought up Carnegie Mellon as well, because when we start talking that type of money, I've been thinking that even it was just funny, because when I first met you, that had already been in my head, but I was waiting. That's what I'm waiting to see. Is somebody going to do that?
Yeah. So someone would basically it's like your scholarship almost.
Yes.
So BYU kind of did that with their walk-ons. I don't know. This was maybe October, September, a while ago. Mm-hmm. But one of the Built Bar, it's a Utah or a BYU grad, came in, and now he gave full scholarships to every walk-on. So now instead of having 85 football scholarships, they theoretically have like 120. So now they got 40 more kids. Like, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
And I'll take that to D3 and BU. That was a good example. Yeah, MIT, Harvard.
Exactly.
Those are better, because now it goes, they could be like, imagine you're Carnegie Mellon. Like, it's like, they're way too good for D3 anymore. Like, do they move up? Like, what happens? Like, yeah.
And it's funny we were talking. I mean, first of all, the UAA conference is D3, but it's comparable to a lot of low major conferences, to be honest with you. It's just that, they choose to stay on the academic side, but that's almost like this could really morph into something with nobody thought about, on every, and I know I'm harping D3, but this could change the game for D2. You already got D2s that beat low major D1s, some of your really good D2s, D1s don't even want to play in November and December anymore. So how does this change them? I'm just waiting to see how there's going to be pros to this, and there's going to be cons to this. And I just want to see, does this make an unfair playing field, or does this start to help some of the little guys? Because, to add this with the portal, and you start getting some of them drop downs, and now you got a team overnight, right?
Yeah, and you add like the extra years of eligibility now. I mean, 2 guys from BU, they're good players. They have 1 more year. They're from Cali, so they're heading back to a D2 in California just because they want to go back home, be warmer. But it's like, they're a good D1 mid-major player. Now they're going to D2. Like, that D2 just got a whole lot better. They had 2 guys that played 4 years in the Patriot League. Like, it can balance it out, but it can also, I think the very top is going to get way more unbalanced.
Oh, sure.
But like
SEC
mid-major
school,
to like D2 is going to get tighter, I think. So that's why
I agree.
I could see the big conferences kind of breaking away.
Everybody's talking about that too.
We'll see. I mean, you just don't know, right? Like we're watching a movie and we're just having fun watching it, hoping the athletes get theirs, and as long as they get theirs and like the system doesn't break, like we cool.
But there's no script, and that's the thing that we're talking. There's no script to this movie, so nobody knows how this is going to end because there's so much unknown and there's so many possibilities, good and bad, that can happen. And the NCAA basically has to let it play out. Like you said, these SEC schools, like, gosh, Texas A&M just got good, really good because of NIL. You know what I'm saying? They got really, really good. They got one of the top recruiting classes. And now you got people screaming, oh, well, that's NIL money. Well, it's within the rules now. So, hey,
don't hate the player, man. Hate the game.
Exactly. Hate the game. So, people got your website. They can reach out to you on Twitter. I would have to assume right now you still got some time to talk to everybody, because in due time, man, not just watching this show, as people start to read more of your content and become more intrigued, you got to have some business hours in a minute, man.
Hey, man, I love helping these guys out, and I just like to see them winning, doing what I wanted to do, and kind of bringing it along. Like I said, that's kind of my goal. I want to, hey, you take care of your athletic side. Let me take care of business stuff, make connections in that world, build stuff. And then in a few years, maybe sooner, who knows, like whether they're professional athletes or college, like kind of come together and be like, hey, we've all done big things in our respective fields. Let's go build like in the world of technology, sports, and business.
Let me ask you one last thing. Have you thought about having just a Zoom informational or something like that?
I have, but I also understand like athletes and like how they are a lot of the time. Like for me personally, like I was all one-on-one. Like anytime we had Zooms or we had to do like courses, like people have always been like, yo, make a course but I'm like, okay, yes, it sounds good in theory and a school might purchase it, but no athlete wants to do that. I don't care. It doesn't even matter if it revolves around NIL. Like, so I'm trying to remind myself, like, be in an athlete's shoe, be the player. Like, so that's why anything I do, I'd rather it private, because they're going to ask better questions. They're not going to be embarrassed. Hey, how do I do this? What do I do with this?
I got you.
That's why I do it. But that's a great, idea, and maybe down the line for sure, but just not yet. And enough people don't know about it either until it hits high school. That's the
It's
other thing
co-
people forget about.
That's a whole nother topic right there. Because you know where we're from. You know we're from Western Pennsylvania, and you know that is football heaven. So you know the money for that, you know, basketball it's still getting there. But
It's getting better.
but for football, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
There's already some guys I've been hearing some stuff about.
Really?
They're basically meeting with like collectives at different school and negotiating their contracts, saying, "Hey, I'm a 4-star, 5-star. Listen, I see the facilities, I see what you've done. Let me see the paycheck now, and then I'll make my decision." So it's the
Wow.
reality of it.
Boy, I need to get back home, boy. I haven't been home in a while. That's crazy to eat, man. Woo. Yeah, this is. Hey, man, I thank you for coming on, man. You're gonna have me just thinking like how crazy this is, man. It like I said, it's still the wild, wild west right now, you know, and it's gonna formulate a lot more until finally we can see, you know, test cases and business cases off of this happened good from this happened bad from this.
Right.
And we just gotta wait and
the
see.
market-
But you're leading
The
the
market's
forefront,
going to
man.
adjust, right?
Yeah.
It might
Yeah.
be overvalued, it might be undervalued. I mean, I think we all know like the real market and everything is overvalued, houses, everything, inflation.
course. Yeah.
So it's like, well, NIL, is it overvalued? Is it under? I think we'll kind of start to see that. But what it is going to do, and I think it should have been this way from the start, but you know, it's the gold rush, people trying to get in. I think it's gonna start to become more performance based because they're paying these high school kids $1 million, but when that kid gets hurt and he doesn't pan out or whatever, now you're $1 million in the hole. So now you look like a real bonehead. Good for the athlete, like I said, but now they're gonna go, wait a second, we can give kids $100,000 to come. And now, if you're really good after 2 years, you can like renegotiate or sign bigger deals based on performance.
That part can mess up the game too, because now you're going to have kids going for individual stats and not playing team ball. And you know what I'm saying? That could be. We'll see. That's all we can say is we'll see.
Hey,
man.
They've said a lot of times this is going to ruin college sports. This is going to ruin it. Blah 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 blah. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, the system made enough off all these athletes for long enough. Like, don't get mad at it now. Like, they're getting at least somewhat close to what they deserve. At least the ones that are supposed to, which I would say football and basketball. And that's nothing against other sports. It's just the reality of it.
Those are the revenue sports. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, man, this won't be the last time you know what? We're going to talk more in the future besides this, but man, probably in the next 6 months to 12 months, we definitely will come back and revisit this on another podcast, because by that time we'll probably have a couple of cases and be like, man, did you see this guy did this guy did that? And, man, it's going to be interesting just to see how this all pans out. Did we get our first D3 guy that we talked about? Did we get our first NAI or D2 guy that made, a nice little deal? And I hope it's off of some of your information that you provided too, man. Definitely.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, Dave. This has been fun, but you're right. We're going to have some cool stories to come back and be like, hey, this is what we got right. We got this wrong.
Absolutely.
This, who knows? Like,
definitely, man. And, when I come back home, man, we'll definitely catch up when I come back 100%. Home, man.
100%. But I appreciate you having me on, David. And anyone, if you need me, hit me up on Twitter at Andrew Petcash. I'm happy to help anyone.
Definitely. Hey, man, thank you again for coming on, man. You take care, okay?
All right, David. Appreciate you, bro.
Take care. Man, for you guys that don't know about NIL, you guys definitely need to pay attention to what's going on out there, because this is going to be a game changer, and don't miss the boat. That's all I can say. And that's why I brought Andrew on, because he opened my eyes when I started reading some of his content. I thought it was amazing. Next week, we'll have another good show lined up. Got some really good ones, and I don't want to confirm yet, but I'm just waiting until the middle of the end of this week. Next weekend, I will be covering a girls event, first girls event for the year. I'm looking forward to it. So until then, thank you guys for joining as usual. I'm David Jones of Hoops Hitting Gems. You take care.